Hey, welcome back everyone. I just wanted to do a super quick wrap-up video of the Royal Tiger Imports or RTI 3 rifle unboxing I did a couple nights ago. So what I did was I took all the rifles that you saw. They were all grimed up and dirty. Went ahead and took them apart, cleaned them, took the bolts apart, took the stocks out, cleaned the bores very thoroughly. I'll go ahead and superimpose what the actual bores look like so you can kind of get a better idea of kind of what I got. So yeah, I'll just show you right now what I got. This was the Vetterli 15. You remember it was caked in dirt. What was kind of nice about this was a lot of the bluing is still here. It's missing the cleaning rod, which is fine. You can find a replacement for that. But the bluing on the barrel is pretty much all there. It was a second in the UV series, which is kind of a nice find. And then once I kind of took everything apart, it now runs pretty smooth. There is a lot of bluing missing here, obviously on the back of the bolt. I do really like this Italian East Africa AOI symbol on the back. So pretty happy with how this turned out. The stock itself was covered in crap, and you might have seen that. So what I did with all my rifles was I used a lot of hot soap and Murphy's. This stuff is fantastic. So just took a regular pad, really scrubbed down the surface, got a lot of dirt off. And then what I've also been doing with all my rifles is this feed wax, which is just beeswax. And you can find this on, I think, on Amazon for maybe $5 or $6. And even for all my rifles, even these new ones, cleaning off the stocks with a little bit of that wax just kind of gives it a little bit more vibrancy, brings out that color a little bit more and a little bit more of that shine. So that's what I did with this. And I'll probably apply that 2 or 3 times to each of these rifles. So the Vetterli actually turned out pretty nice, as you can see. A lot of good bluing on it, some of it missing. Bore was all right. Not fantastic, but not, great. There wasn't a ton of crap inside of it, so pretty happy with how this turned out. 1876 manufactured, and then in the First World War, it was rechambered to 6.5. So, yeah, not too bad. The Moschetto, I'm not really going to go into a whole lot of detail here. These are straight from Italy. They're pretty clean. There's a little bit of surface pitting. I just kind of did a thorough wash down, took everything apart, scrubbed it with some ballistol on the metal surfaces. Again, put a little beeswax covering on the stocks. These are pretty much good to go. Did a couple bore snakes through the barrel, but the barrel is in excellent condition. So not really a whole lot to say there, but again, that was my 1916 dated one. And then, finally, the M95 was the one that I was a little bit more worried about. Because it had, I was really worried for the bore because it had this free 7.62 by 54 rimmed cartridge inside, which was kind of a fun free gift from the Ethiopians. This stock here is still pretty beat up, as you can see. Overall, though, the bluing on like the magazine here is still there. There's a little bit of bluing on the receiver, but most of that's gone by now. The actual bolt, I think in my last video I showed you a picture of the bottom of it where the rail guards were just rusted out, and actually this cleaned up pretty well. It's still a little fidgety. I put a little bit of rem oil inside there. I took this apart, boiled the parts, cleaned everything in soap, ballistol, moose milk, cleaned out the rear sights here, cleaned up as much as I could. I mean, this was covered in grease and gunk, and even the stock here was just covered in a nice layer of grime, as it had been sitting in a goat shed in Ethiopia for 50, 60 plus years. Again, did a little bit of this Murphy's and soap to the stock, put a couple layers of this beeswax to the stock. It looks definitely much better than what I showed you guys. Again, bluing's not great on these, but I just think, yeah, I would say fairly inexpensive for 3 World War I era rifles. Um, these, I believe they made them until 1918. I'll have to look up to see. They don't have the dates on these, so I'll have to kind of look at serial numbers and see roughly when this was made. But the fact that it's a World War I era M95 Mannlicher that was not converted at all for less than $200 in 2024 is a pretty damn good deal. So I'm not going to complain about that. Cleaned up pretty good. Again, this is just for me to have a reference in my collection. And then the Vetterli, of course, just having, as an Italian collector, just having one of these. Again, very nice to have a good stock, good bluing, no parts missing, good mechanics on everything. Bolt works fine. Action's nice and smooth. There wasn't anything too crazy. The bore is decent. So I'd say I got pretty lucky with this RTI roll. Again, if you guys are going to buy from Royal Tiger Imports, as a warning, what I got here is probably on the better end of what you're going to get on a dice roll. Most people get a lot of trash. So I've seen people post on Reddit, people post on Facebook, oh, I got an M95 Mannlicher, they were on sale for $150. Ah, but there's a giant chunk out of my handguard. Or, hey, this part's missing. Well, good luck finding a handguard for an M95 long rifle that was manufactured 100 plus years ago. I don't know. There probably is some kind of aftermarket parts for those. I don't know. But typically for rifles that go back that far, there's not as much, especially if it's wooden stocks. Like things like screws and bolts, I think, are just a little bit easier to find, but wooden parts are not as easy to replace because you can't just go into a machine shop and make those. Even things like springs, those are kind of hard to find, especially if there's not a market for it. These, again, are kind of more niche, too. There's the reason these are kind of so inexpensive right now is because not a lot of people collect them, but that could change. That's the same with Carcanos. So you're not having a lot of people make aftermarket parts. So if you do get one of these rifles and you're missing extractors, you're missing parts of your stock, the bluing's gone, you're missing parts of your rear sights. That's what I'm seeing a lot of these Royal Tiger Imports purchases. A lot of these missing things or they're completely gone. So just be warned that if you do purchase from them, you are not going to necessarily get fantastic results. For me personally, I took this gamble, took it upon myself, and turned out to be pretty good for me. 3 World War I rifles for under $500. That's a pretty good deal in 2024. So I'm happy. However, be warned, this is not going to be the result for probably most of you. So anyway, one more thing. I also picked up a couple books. So the Vetterli rifle, I believe someone was saying that this is pretty much the only book on the Vetterli rifle in English by Robert Wilsey. So always have to have a reference book when you get a new gun. And then the Mannlicher Military Rifles by Paul Scarlatta. Again, I think this is pretty much the only book on Mannlicher rifles in English. So anyway, guys, just wanted to give you guys a quick update. I'll show some, B-roll as I'm talking, and you guys will kind of see what I got. So you guys have a nice evening, and don't let your friends buy from Royal Tiger Imports.